Okay,
I always forget to, but we are
thanks for your
recording
patience.
this so that we can post the videos online in case folks couldn't join us and then wanted to hear along as well. So, Sarah, back to you.
Thanks. So both of these options from EEC provide no and low cost opportunities to take coursework at a college in higher ed. For those who are working in EEC licensed or funded programs, and this applies to folks who work in center-based programs, after and out of school time programs, family childcare, and residential and placement programs. All of those types of positions are eligible for the career pathways and the scholarship. The career pathway grant does not require you to get a degree. It's through the community colleges, and it's a great way to get started. If you don't have any coursework in early childhood education yet, you can take the beginner courses towards your EEC certifications. The ECE scholarship is a degree pathway. So to make use of the EEC scholarship that we're speaking about tonight, you need to be enrolled at a college working towards an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, or a master's degree. And so those are the big differences. So we're not going to go over career pathways that much tonight, but I just wanted to let you know that it's out there and share that this is a map of the state, and you can see, this is on our website as well, and you can see how the entire state is divided into sections covered by community colleges. And so if you go to our website, the EEC Career Pathways webpage, you'll see this map and all the information that you need to get involved with a Career Pathways class. But tonight we're going to focus on the Early Childhood Educator Scholarship. So the scholarship is jointly brought to you by EEC and the Department of Higher Education, which sometimes we refer to as DHE. And the goal of the scholarship is to help educators increase their qualifications through a college degree. The scholarship is awarded on a per credit basis, depending on the type of institution you choose. So there's a certain amount that if you're at a community college that you get per credit, a different amount if you're at a state university, and a different amount if you're at a private college. And the scholarship provides funding to assist with the cost of a maximum of 3 courses. So you don't have to take 3 courses. You can take 1 course, 2 courses, or 3 courses. And we are talking about coming up now funding for this upcoming fall semester, the following spring, and the following summer. There are some eligibility requirements for the scholarship. And again, these are all listed on our webpage, and I will share this presentation with you as well. So don't worry if you don't get them all this moment. You must live in Massachusetts for at least 1 year and be a resident to take advantage of this scholarship. You need to apply for the free application for federal student aid, which is also known as the FAFSA. In Massachusetts, we now have a FAFSA equivalent called the MAFSA. So if you don't meet the residency requirements for federal aid, you are still eligible for state aid. So this is rather new. But if you're not eligible to complete the FAFSA, you have alternative pathways, which I'm happy to help you with if that's what you need. You're not to be in debt on any federal or state student loans. You must, like I said, you must enroll in a college as a matriculated student. And what that means is that you have to be in a program you're working toward a degree. You have to be employed in one of those positions one of those types of programs that I mentioned. So a center-based program, family childcare, out of school or after school time, or a residential and placement program for at least the past 6 months. You don't need to have been at the same program for the last 6 months. So if you just changed jobs a month ago or 2 months ago, but you've been in the field for a really long time or even a short time, as long as it's 6 months total in the field, you are eligible. There are some terms of agreement that you have to sign, that you have to agree to before you can submit your application, talking about continuing to work in the field while you are getting your degree. And you must be going for your first degree at each level. So if you have a bachelor's degree, for example, in something else, you unfortunately cannot get another bachelor's degree in early childhood ed. If you wanted to use a scholarship, you'd have to go towards your master's. Okay, so these are the majors. As you can see that you have to choose from to make use of the scholarship. This is expanded from last year. So if anybody's coming at this for their second year, you can see that there's a lot of new options to use as a major. So if you're a out of school time educator, there are some more choices that might be more appropriate to you. Rather than early childhood, you could choose to major in elementary education or social work or special education. And any of these majors are open to anybody, not just out of school time folks. There's also been a proposed increase in the award amounts over last year. So you'll notice if you've done this before, if this is not your first year, that the award amounts are proposed to go up a little bit. So if you are going to a community college, the scholarship will fund $350 per credit for a maximum of $3,150 per semester. And you can see how the values change depending on the type of university or college that you select. Okay, so now I'm going to take you on a pretty detailed walk through the application because this is usually the part that's hardest for people. Again, I will share this presentation and I hope it's something that you can look at side by side while you're, oh, hold on, Bella, I don't think you're you're back in your Portuguese. Okay, great, thank you, thanks everyone. I'm going to take you in a pretty detailed walk through the application, and I'm hoping that when I send you this presentation and you do apply, you can look at the application and see that it mirrors my presentation exactly, and it will help you on each of the parts of the application. The first thing that you have to do is apply for the FAFSA, or like I said, the equivalent, the MAFSA. This is really tricky for people. You have to wait 42 to 78 hours for your data to process before you can create your MassAid account. You will get an email that looks like this email on the screen saying, congratulations, we've received your FAFSA, and we invite you to go to the student portal for MassAid for students. If you try to create your MassAid portal before you get this email, you will get an error message that says your name, your social security number, and your date of birth don't match. And a lot of times that really freaks people out. But all it means is that we haven't gotten your FAFSA data, so we have nothing to match it to. And you cannot create an account until your data is in the system and your data can be matched. Something else that's really important about the FAFSA is that you don't have to be eligible for FAFSA funds. So a lot of times if you're a dependent or if you make a certain amount of money, you're not eligible for federal funds. That is okay. You are still eligible for the scholarship. The scholarship is not needs-based. It's not merit-based, which means you don't have to complete any kind of essay, and it's not first come, first serve. For the most part, if you apply for the scholarship and you meet the eligibility requirements, you will receive the funding. So don't worry. It's really important to pay attention to your email though, because once you complete the FAFSA, you'll start getting emails that say, hey, you're eligible for a Pell Grant, or hey, you're eligible for this loan. You don't have to take any of it. You do not have to take the loans that get offered to you unless you want to. But you really need to read your email because you're going to start to get a lot and you want to make sure that you know what's coming your way. So once you get this email or you've waited 42 to 78 hours, you can go to your MassAid portal, which looks like this. And this is a hyperlink. So when I send you the PowerPoint, you can click right here to get to your MassAid account. You can see that if you already created an account, this is where you go back every time you want to sign in by using your username. If this is the first time, you can see where that red arrow is pointing and it says click here to create an account. So it's the same page. That's the very first thing you do. And then you'll see a screen that looks like this. If you were to scroll down where it says welcome, you would see all of your personal information that came from the FAFSA. So you're going to want to check that and make sure that all of that information is correct. you can see on the bottom left something called My Mass Grant. As soon as you apply for the FAFSA, you get put into the pool for something called the Mass Grant. And the Mass Grant is income eligible. So sometimes you are not eligible for it, and you will get a notice that says you are not eligible for the Mass Grant. That does not mean you are not eligible for the scholarship. So again, you really have to read the emails carefully, because it might say you're ineligible for the Mass Grant, but that doesn't have anything to do with the scholarship, and you can just ignore it. So it's really important to realize the difference between information about the scholarship and information about the Mass Grant. You can see on the left, there's a red arrow that shows you where to click to find the scholarship application. Then you'll get a screen that looks like this, and you will click on the 2024-2025 Early Childhood Educator Scholarship. There's 3 sections to the scholarship application. The first one is your student information, things like your name, your contact information, and a very few demographic questions. You will see that a lot of this information is already there from the FAFSA. So you're just filling in what isn't there and correcting and making sure that any information that's there is correct. Then you complete your application information, which is information regarding what your plan is for school. And then the third step is your employer information and work experience. So I'm going to go over step 2 and step 3 with you right now. Step 1 is so basic that it will make sense to you. So step 2 looks like this. This is your application information. So you do need to know where you are hoping to go to school, because that's the first question that you're asked. And there is a drop-down menu of the schools that are eligible. Most colleges in Massachusetts are eligible for the scholarship, but you can also find a list of colleges on the we're going to add it to our website, but right now it's on the Department of Higher Ed website. And then you're going to get the question enrolled as, and you're going to choose undergraduate or graduate. It's pretty easy. And then I realized when I was going over this last night with a different group of people, there are a lot of repetitive questions here, but you just have to bear with them and answer them. So then it asks you again if you're a graduate student, and you will say yes or no. And then the next drop down is for your major. And again, you'll get a drop down, so you will have limited majors to choose from, as I showed you on the slide before. Your expected degree and expected month and year, you don't have to know for sure. So if you don't know, just plan out and take a guess. I think I'm going to have 5 semesters till I get my associate's degree. Figure out what month. Is it May? Is it December? And what year that's going to be, and fill it in. It's okay if it changes, and it's okay if you don't know for sure the answer. You just have to put something in there. Your grade level is the grade level that you will be when you start in the fall. So you might be a first year, never attended. You might be a second year. You might be a graduate student. Again, it's a drop-down menu. Again, it asks you if you have a prior bachelor's degree. And then it asks you the degree you're pursuing. So you'll see the choices like associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree. There's also some certificate options in there. And then you have 4 boxes for your anticipated credits. You have to fill in all of these boxes to move forward. So again, you're taking your best guess about how many classes you think you're going to take in the upcoming semesters. I'll tell you this. You can change this, but it has to be done through the Department of Higher Ed. You cannot go back and change this yourself. So once you've submitted it, if you want to change your credits, you have to reach out to me or to the Department of Higher Ed. If you anticipate and write down, I'm going to take 2 classes this fall for 6 credits, and then something happens and it's too much, and you say, you know what, I've changed my mind. I'm only going to take 1 class for 3 credits. You don't have to do anything. The college will just get the money for whatever classes you take. If you do the opposite and say, I think I'm only going to take 1 class this semester, and then you find you have all this free time and you register for a second class and you're going to take 6 credits, you have to let us know, because we have to go back and change it in your application. So if you go down in credits, it's easier. If you go up in credits, you have to let us know. Also anticipate your summer credits. Summer awards are always subject to the availability of funds after the spring semester. So the entire scholarship is always subject to appropriation by the legislature and when the final state budget gets signed. But summer classes are not guaranteed. It's usually not a problem, but it depends on the amount of money that's left after the spring semester. But you should still put in your anticipated credits. That's it. That's all you have to do for your academic information. Then you get to your employer information. And all these black boxes are, is I just clicked on the little question mark so you could see what would come up. So you put your employer's name and then your EEC program number. And if you click on the question mark, you get this little box that says where you can find your program number. Your program number belongs to where you work, not to you. So you would either need to find, you can see this picture here, you would either need to find where your EEC license is hanging in your center, and then you would select this second number, or you can ask your director or an administrator who can find the number for you from LEAD. So it's not a number that's attached to you, it's a number that you have to get from your program. You put in the address, the city, the state. Again, here's where you put your start date in. And if you have not been working at the job you are at now for at least 6 months, you're going to put in, you're going to add your previous employer. If you've been working at your job for 6 months or more, you can stop after this page. And this down here, the PQ registry number, is something that you should also all have, because everybody has to have a PQR number to work in a licensed facility. So you would just find your PQR confirmation. It's also your certificate, your certification number. So if you have an EEC certificate, it's the same number. So then the employment information is continued for your previous, this is the same, I'm sorry, the same employer. So you continue with your zip code, phone number, hours, and information for your supervisor. If you are a family child care provider, or you are an owner or director of a center, you can use yourself as your supervisor and you can self-certify. So again, if you are a family child care owner, educator, if you are an owner of a center-based program and you don't report to a supervisor, you can put yourself down on this page. The next page asks for previous employer information. You only have to fill this out if you don't have 6 months at your current job. So this is not required. You can skip this part if you already have 6 months at your current job. And that we're almost done. We're just about done. That's the end of the application. There's one more step following the application, but here's where you would read these blue words, terms and conditions. Here's where you would click and read the terms and conditions that you're agreeing to. And then you would agree to them and hit save. And the most part of your application has been complete. And then we're going to go over the last step now. The last step is your employment verification, which is called a proof of employment form. So this screen will come up after you click save, and you can see the red arrow is pointing to a box that says print proof of employment form. So you do need access to a printer because you do need to print this form, and you would bring it to your supervisor, the same supervisor who you just listed, and have them sign it. If you're a family child care provider, or you're your own supervisor, you will sign it yourself. The form will come out with all of the information from your application. You have to use that letter. Sometimes people get hold of a blank one and they fill it in by hand. Those will not be accepted. The only ones that will be accepted are the ones that are printed exactly from the application. Then you're going to need to upload your letter back in. So you may need access to a scanner. I have heard repeatedly that there's some really good scanning apps on phones. So you can use a scanning app on your phone if you need it. But when you enter back through your portal with your username, you will see this Mass Aid box, and this time you will go to my ECE, my early childhood education, and you can see that where the red arrow is pointing here to upload your proof of employment letter. If you don't have access to a scanner and you have to take a photo, you have to make sure it's a really good photo and that everything can be read and that there's no corners, that there's no glare. It will not be accepted if there are any parts of the letter that cannot be read. What happens next? So you really want to pay attention to your email box. All information and notifications will be sent via email, and you want to read them closely because you will get email about the scholarship. You will get email about the Mass Grant. You will get email from the FAFSA, and it can be tricky. So make sure you're really reading very carefully. You need to allow time for DHE and EEC to approve your application after you submit it. It's not an instant application process, approval process. Are actually approved manually in part, first by DHE and then by EEC. And so it takes a little time. I would say that we should be approving applications within 1 to 2 weeks that they come in. But there's going to be a little bit of backup now at the beginning. You may receive an email that says you are ineligible for the scholarship. Read it carefully because sometimes it's just something that you got wrong on the application or something that you need to clear up. You will have 20 days to correct that. So pay attention to your email. Don't panic if you get an email that says you're ineligible. Read it carefully. It will have directions and say what you need to do. If it is a residency issue because you are not a citizen, sometimes you have to clarify those with your institution. So sometimes your institution has to verify that you have a student visa or whatever it is to go to school, and then your application will be cleared. I get this question every year. Your award will say pending until you start school in the fall, and the college says, yes, Jane is a student here. Yes, she's going to class. I'm going to certify her. So all summer long, if you're checking your application and it says that your award is pending, don't worry about it. It's just pending because it hasn't been distributed yet. The way the awards work is that once you start school, your school has to certify you and say, yes, so-and-so is a student here. Yes, so-and-so has not dropped out. Yes, so-and-so is taking 2 classes. And usually colleges don't do that until after the add drop period because they want to make sure you're not going to drop your classes and whatnot. And then once the word is called certify. So once they certify you, they get the money directly from the Department of Higher Ed. You don't get the money and you don't have to worry about the money. It goes directly from the state to the college or university where you're going. And then that's pretty much it. I have some resources which you can have access to when I share this PowerPoint. But it's a pretty simple process. I'm going to stop sharing so that we can all see each other again. And I'm happy to answer questions. And maybe Eugenia, you can help me with the chat.
Yeah, we have 2 questions in the chat. So if folks have a question, raise your hand. We'd love to call on you. But one question I want to call out, we had a question from Sarah. She says she has a bachelor's degree and she'd like to get her master's, and would this scholarship help her with that?
Absolutely. So what you would want to do is you'd want to identify the master's program that you want to go to, because you'll need that information for the scholarship application, and then you will go through the process I just went through and apply for the scholarship. And if you look at the slide with the award amounts, you'll see how much you will be awarded per credit.
And then I'm going to call out one more question from the chat, and then I saw Maritzia had her physical hand up, so we'll call on Maritzia, and then Kalani, and then Florelia, and I apologize if I mispronounced any names. But we had another question in the chat asking if paraprofessionals to public school preschools who are trying to become teachers can apply for this program?
That's always a tricky one because public preschools are not licensed by the Department of Early Education and Care, and it's usually a case-by-case basis. So my suggestion would be that you email me directly with your question about where you work and let me know where you work, and then I can let you know if you're eligible for the scholarship. And I can put my email in the chat. It's also all over the website.
Thank you. Maritza, why don't you go ahead?
¿Mm?
Yes, sí.
Sí, buenas. Mi nombre es Marista Sánchez. Yo lo que quiero preguntar si hay alguien que me ayude a llenar la aplicación, porque yo no soy muy experta. Yo llené una de FAFSA y me la rechazaron 2 veces. No sé qué pasó y como que eso me desencantó. Perdón, trabajo en un centro de niños, preschool, toddler e infante. Little Crafter se llama, está en Rosendale. Yo tengo 11, más de 11 años, casi 15, trabajando con niños. Tengo materias, ya hice en el college y profesional del inglés.
No worries.
So my suggestion would be there's a really wonderful organization called Mass Edco, and they help walk people through both the FAFSA and the Early Educator Scholarship, and they provide support in multiple languages. So it looks like Eugenia is trying to find their information to put it in the chat for you all. So I recommend, Maritza, that you reach out to someone at Mass Edco who can help you. They do it through Zoom. So you would have a one-on-one Zoom appointment with somebody who speaks Spanish, and you can ask all of your questions and they can help you. If you have trouble getting in touch with them, oh, thank you, Eugenia. She just put the link in the chat. You can email me, Maritza, and I can connect you directly with them if you have trouble with going directly to the website. But we will help you figure out what's going on.
Yeah, thank you. And a reminder for folks who are listening in, you can access interpretation by mousing over to the bottom of your screen. So if you wanted to listen to your colleagues who might be speaking in a different language, you can choose English, Spanish, or Portuguese, and you can hear interpretation both ways if helpful to you. We'll go, some hands went down. So if folks who had their hands up previously would like to ask a question, please raise them again and we'll be happy to call on you. But we'll go to Florelia and then Shannon, you'll be next. Sharon, you'll be next, sorry.
Okay.
Hola, no sé si me escuchan bien.
We can hear you.
Ok. Yo tengo 2 preguntas. Una es, si nosotros ya tomamos un semestre en la universidad, digamos, en mi caso sería en el Bunker Hill, pero por una situación yo tuve que retirar el siguiente semestre y lo he dejado como en pausa. Para yo poder hacer de nuevo la información, yo necesito volverme a inscribir o puedo hacerlo antes como de activar de nuevo mi tiempo en la universidad. No sé si me logré entender.
So if you were accessing scholarship funds, you need to apply again. It's an annual application. I'm sorry, I should have said that. You have to apply every year for scholarship for the upcoming year. If you were using career pathways funds, Fiorella, you want to just reach out to someone at Bunker Hill again. If you have a contact at Bunker Hill, my suggestion would be to reach out directly to that person. I will put an email in the chat and you can email, the woman's name is Melissa, and you can email her at the email that I'll put in the chat for Bunker Hill, and probably she can answer your question better than I can.
Thank you. So we'll go to Sharon next, and then Sarah, get ready, you'll be after Sharon. And then I'm going to read 2 questions from the chat. So Sharon, go ahead.
Hey, hi, good afternoon, good evening. So thank you very much for giving us all this information. It's really wonderful. And I just wanted to find out, you said that the first step would be to find a college or a university that I would wish to do the degree in. So let's say I find a university and then I need to sign up. So the question is, do I need to first pay out of my own pocket to the university and then I get a reimbursement, or will I first apply and then if I get the scholarship will send the funds before I need to pay? So the question is, what do I need to do first? Do I first pay and then I get the money back, or does the scholarship pay?
You shouldn't have to pay first. The timing is always a little bit tricky because you might get a bill before the scholarship money gets sent to the university or the college.
Yeah.
But the college or university can see that you have applied for the scholarship and have been granted scholarship money, so they know it's coming.
Yeah.
So what I always advise people is, if that happens, so it's kind of a simultaneous process because your application to the college or university is separate from your application to the scholarship. You need to do both.
Yeah.
So you need to get admitted to the college or university and you need to complete the scholarship application.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a bill, I always send people back to the financial aid office. Go to the financial aid or the bursar's office and say, I've applied for the early childhood educator scholarship and I've been awarded. You'll see in your award letter how much money, and tell them, they should be aware of the process of certifying people. And so they understand how this works. So it's my understanding that people don't usually end up having to pay first. I've never heard of that, but it does sometimes require a little bit of communication to make sure that the college knows that you've applied for the scholarship. They get a list. So once you've applied and you've put in where you're going, they can see that. They don't, there's a lot of people and a lot of different people involved in a lot of communication. So sometimes it does require you to go back and just say, who do I need to talk to? I've applied for the scholarship. You're going to get the money and I'm not going to pay for it first. And it should work out. And if it doesn't, you can always email me and I can see what I can do, but it usually works out for people as long as those communication links are closed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure.
So we'll go to Sarah next. Sarah, I'd love to hear from you. And then I'm going to read 2 questions from the chat and then we'll, Suri, you'll be right after that. Sarah, go ahead.
Buenas tardes. Yo puse mi pregunta en chat, pero yo tengo un bachelor ya. Soy paraprofessional de Boston Public School desde 1999. Y yo estoy aquí para saber si existe algún programa. Sí, hay programas porque leí que era para que podían también uno tener una beca o un scholarship o no sé, para lo que queremos es seguir estudiando para llegar a tener un máster. Esa es mi pregunta. Gracias.
Yes. You can use a scholarship to get a master's, but you have to be working in a program that's licensed or funded by EEC. So if you work in Boston Public Schools, it might not be an eligible program to make use of the scholarship. There are some programs available to public school teachers. So you could go back to Eugenia, can you put in the link for OSFA? And you can see there's I learned on Monday night that there are 45 state-sponsored scholarships. And so there might be one that you could use.
Okay, sí, porque yo estudié obtuve un scholarship con ISC cuando era para mi bachelor. Hace como unos 5 años yo terminé mi bachelor. Gracias por eso. Yo llené la aplicación ahora otra vez porque estuve con un compañero de trabajo. Él está aquí ahora en la reunión que decía que podíamos también pursue por el máster, entonces, pero creíamos que era por el mismo método, pero gracias por la información y yo voy a estar pendiente a eso porque sí nos gustaría seguir un máster. Y trabajamos para Boston Public School.
Ask your principal if there are what scholarships they are aware of for Boston Public School employees, because I wouldn't know about them, but your principal would.
And the union too sometimes has, will reimburse you or pay for school. Yeah. I'm going to read 2 questions from the chat.
Gracias.
De nada. So I'm going to read 2 questions from the chat, and then we'll go to Suri. So we have, can we use this scholarship for a summer semester? Also, can we use it to finish a bachelor degree in education?
Yes, you can't use it for this summer semester of 2024 because that was last year's scholarship application. So this year's scholarship application will start in September 2024 and cover the fall, and then the spring semester that starts in January, and then next summer. So unfortunately, this money won't kick in until September. If you're already partway through your bachelor's degree, you can apply for the scholarship for any remaining classes that you have. You cannot get reimbursed for classes you have already paid for, but if you still have classes that you need to take to complete your degree, you can apply for it, and the upcoming classes that you take, you can get scholarship funds for those classes.
And that was a great answer, because I think you answered 2 other questions that were in the chat on when the earliest folks could access the scholarship, and then also if folks have already paid for some schooling. The next question we have is from Gina. What is the time commitment after the degree is earned? How many years in the field will complete the requirement?
That's a really good question, and one that I don't know the answer to off the top of my head. If you email me, I can get back to you, or if you go through the application, you can click on the terms and conditions and read that. I don't think it's listed on the website, but if you send me an email, I can get that information and get back to you. Do you know, Eugenia?
I don't know, but I'm now thinking that we should probably add it to the website too. So we'll do some digging, Gina, make sure that we let you know, and then we'll also add it to the website. So thank you for that great recommendation. Suri, do you want to ask your question? And then if there's others, again, who have questions, raise your hand. We'd love to call on you. Suri, go ahead.
Suri on an iPhone. Oh,
there we go.
Hi, am I going next?
Yes,
please go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I just would like more clarification because you mentioned if we already have a bachelor's and and something else, we would have to go for a master's degree. What if I just want to get a certificate? Can I apply for this?
I don't think you can get anything lower than you have, and a certificate is considered like lower, like it's fewer credits than a bachelor's degree. So I don't think you can apply for a certificate, but I would look into the career pathways. So if you have a bachelor's in something else and you need the classes to get EEC certified as teacher or lead teacher or director, you can take those classes through career pathways, even if you have a bachelor's degree. So I would reach out to your local community college. And if you go to our career pathways webpage, there's a link that lists all the cities and towns in Massachusetts and which community college you would go to. And that way you identify your college, and then it will then lower on the webpage, it gives you the contact information for the person at that community college. So that's the route I would go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I reposted that webpage in the chat, so you can take a look there. And Sarah, we also got some questions about will this help with an associate's degree or a CDA?
You can use it toward an associate's degree, absolutely. A CDA, it does not cover CDA because CDA is not required to be college credit. So, but career pathways can help you with CDA. So if you're looking for your CDA, do what I just told Crystal and go to the career pathways webpage and find your local community college and reach out to the grant coordinator at that college and ask about the CDA that they have.
And for other folks who have questions, feel free to raise your hand. We'd love to call on you. While we are waiting, I'll read another question from the chat. We have a question from Monica asking, where can she get more information about colleges associated with this scholarship?
We are going to put them on our website, hopefully very soon, but they are on the Office of Student Financial Assistance website for Massachusetts. So I can put that in the chat.
Yeah, and we'll get that in there and we'll make sure that we add it to our website as well. Jen, we'll call on you next. And then Wendell Miller, you'll be next. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing any names. Jen, you can go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I just had a quick question. I'm looking to go for my degree. I've been in early ed for the last 25 plus years, but I'm looking to go get my lead teacher and my directors 1 and 2. I've tried to go back to school multiple times, but they're telling me that I need to do math. I think it's like 101 and English 104. Does this cover those classes? I'm one of those
trying to
like I want to be a lead teacher.
But you're not trying to get another degree.
No.
You just want the classes, like the 1 class for teacher or the 3 classes for lead teacher and the class for director and director 2?
Yes.
They're
telling me I have to go back.
Who's telling you?
Holyoke. Anytime that I've applied for like any of the classes that are out there, they're always telling me that I need to go back and do math and English.
That might be because that's part of their college certificate.
Okay.
But it doesn't sound right to me. If you could send me an email,
yes.
We could find a time to talk and I could definitely try to help you figure this out with Holyoke.
Oh my God, that would be awesome. It's just a struggle. Like I'm doing all these courses and it's getting me nowhere. I'm like, oh yeah, my certification. No, you don't, because you don't have your bachelor's, your master's, like none of that. And I'm like, for years and years, I'm doing all these courses and it's getting me nowhere.
Yeah,
so
send me an email, Jennifer, and and we can try to dig in a little bit more about your specific situation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll go to Wendell Miller. Yeah.
Hello. Hi. I just got a quick question. So I'm trying to do the CDA. So I hear that you guys said that we had to go through the page, Pathway, I think it was.
Pathways?
Is that like the other form to apply, or can I apply with the same way that you guys just explained right now?
The application that I went over tonight can't be used for the CDA. You would want to go through one of the community colleges. Are you taking classes at any of the community colleges right now?
No. I'm just looking into it because I really want to do the CDA. I have a daycare, a home daycare. I just want to like get my CDA now.
Where do you live?
In Fitchburg, Mass.
So you would want to reach out. You can go to the Career Pathways webpage that we've put in the chat. I believe Fitchburg is Mount Wachusett Community College. So if you go to the Career Pathways website and you scroll down to the bottom, there's information for who to get in touch with at Mount Wachusett Community College. And you would just send them an email and say, I live in Fitchburg and I'd like to get my CDA. What do I need to do?
And but it will not be like any like grant to help me out to pay for that class.
Oh, it should be paid. It should be covered by the Career Pathways grant. You
Oh,
shouldn't have to pay for it.
okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, and if I didn't make that clear, the classes that are through the Career Pathways grant are also paid for. They're at no cost to you. So EEC gives the community colleges money to pay for those Career Pathways courses. So they're just two different ways that money is passed along, but both of them are either no or low cost to you. And I say low cost because sometimes the scholarship doesn't cover all of your expenses depending on the school that you choose, but it should cover most of them. And the cost to you should be very low. So
Okay.
these are both opportunities to take courses without having to pay for them.
And I just put the link to Career Pathways in the chat again in case you want to take a look there.
Thanks, Eugenia.
Thank you. We'll look into it. Appreciate it.
And if anybody has any trouble after this call, you can always send me an email. And I'm happy to set up time to speak to people individually, or sometimes we can solve it by email. But I'm pretty easy to access.
It's true. And I will say we have Gina is exceptional. She already went and looked at the terms and conditions. So she did share with me that for the time commitment for working, it does specify that a continuing employment in Massachusetts as an educator provider in the field of early childhood education and care, or out of school time for a minimum of 6 months for each semester of scholarship assistance received, not to exceed 2 years for an associate's degree, or 4 years for a bachelor's degree. It doesn't say for master's, but we'll double check on that and make sure to let folks know. So thank you so much, Gina. We'll call on Sharon next, and then Jamie. We'll try to get to everything in the chat, but we may miss things. So if you have a burning question, please raise your hand so we can make sure it gets asked. Sharon, go ahead.
Yeah, hi again. Sorry to ask you the second question, but I just realized, you know how when you went over, you said that there were 2 boxes where you kind of needed to estimate how many credits you will take in a semester. So my question is, as kind of a full-time employee and a mother, how do I know, if I need to guess, how long does it actually take to complete a credit in terms of like hours of study per week? Is there any place that indicates, you know, for 1 credit you would need to spend, I don't know, 10 hours a week or etc.?
That's a really good question. So at most colleges, 1 class is considered 3 credits.
Oh,
2
okay.
classes is 6 credits, and 3 classes is 9 credits. It's pretty standard, but it's not always standard.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of how much work would be involved in taking 1 class, 2 classes, or 3 classes, that's very college dependent.
Mm-hmm.
So you would, I would suggest speaking with someone at the college, an advisor or a faculty member in the early childhood department.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, this is just my personal opinion,
Yeah.
That when you're working full time, taking 1 class is enough.
Okay, yeah.
I did
Yeah,
that.
because I had no idea, I mean, in terms of like commitment, if I'm going to take, 1 or 2, because
one college class when you're working full time is a lot. Everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
I think a 3 credit class is 45 contact hours. So it's at least 45 hours of class plus homework. But somebody who works in the college that you've selected could answer that question much better than I could. But just personally, when I did school and I was working full time, 1 class plus my job plus my family took up all my time. So that's just a personal answer.
No, excellent. I just wanted to kind of know a rough estimation of how much I need to plan ahead. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Jamie, you're next.
Hola, Buenas tardes. Yo solo tengo una pregunta que me surgió al comienzo y yo no escuché muy bien. Entendí que al principio para lograr tener el asociado hay que tener antes un CDA.
No,
No, okay, thank
they're
you.
not related. Sometimes at the colleges,
Okay.
if you take college classes to get a CDA, you can also use those classes towards an associate, but you can get an associate's degree without getting your CDA. So it's not required that you have a CDA to enter an associate's degree program.
Gracias.
De nada.
Jesse, if you'd like to ask your question.
Hola. Sí, yo tengo una pregunta. Para poder obtener el asociado, sí hay que saber inglés, ¿verdad?
Most colleges, if not all colleges, require you to pass like an English 101 class, which does require reading and writing in English. A lot of the early education classes through career pathways are offered in Spanish with sometimes support to learn English. So if you don't yet read and write in English, you could start with classes in Spanish and get a lot of the early childhood education content in Spanish. And then you would have to also be working on your English if you wanted to go past those classes to get an associate's degree, because you'd have to pass an English class at some point.
I put the link for career pathways in the chat again, so you might want to take a look there. It will say which programs are in Spanish or in Portuguese, if you'd like to check that out.
Yeah, so thank you, Eugenia. If you scroll down to the bottom on the Career Pathways webpage, it lists all the colleges and contact information and which colleges offer classes in English and Portuguese.
So I think we got, I don't know if folks who have their hands up had a second question, but we are at 8 o'clock. So if folks do need to drop off, you are welcome to do so. We thank you for spending your time with us this evening. It's really good to see some familiar faces and to hear about your journey to pursue accreditation, CDAs, associates, bachelor's, master's. It's very exciting. So we do hope you take advantage of this program or career pathways. And very, very excited to see so many join us on a beautiful day at 7 p.m. So thank you for everyone who joined.
You should all have my email address, I just realized, because I emailed you the link to this session. So you all have gotten emails from me. So if you have questions that were not answered, or if you have more specific to you type of question, please feel free to email me. We can try to go through it during email, or we can find a time to talk on the phone. But happy to. My goal is to spend all of the money that's allotted for the scholarship. So I want all of you to apply for the scholarship and go back to school and learn new stuff and continue the great work that you do for children and families. And I want the state to pay for it. So please apply for the scholarship.
We had a lot more applications last year, and I'm not saying it's because of Sarah, but I think Sarah helped out by making sure folks knew how to navigate the application process a bit better. But we'll be having more of these sessions too throughout the summer. Same link to sign up. So if you start the process and have questions and want to join that too, we'll keep having these to make sure folks know how to get signed up for the scholarship.
And I'll send out follow-up information at some time tomorrow. And in my presentation, there are links to everything that you need to apply. Thank you all. Thank you, our wonderful interpreters from Fox Translation. They always do a fantastic job helping us out. Thank you to all of our participants who all worked long days, excuse me, with children. And thank you to Eugenia for your support. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.